Agenda.
Move.
We have a motion. Is there a second? At this time, we hear from our citizens. Here's how we'll do this. When you come forward to speak, state first of all, your name for the record, the item on either the consent or the open agenda that you would like to address. Also understanding that we have 3 minutes per person. One person can't speak and the other person pick up their 3 minutes. That's not part of the program. You got 3 minutes to do it. A total of 30 minutes for one particular topic. That's what we have in how we operate, just so you all know. So if there's anyone who would like to come forward and speak on a particular item, once again, state your name for the record. Commissioner will put the timing up. Yes. Proceed.
I'm short, sorry. Good morning, my name is Lauren Vickers, speaking on agenda item 8N1. I would like to make a public testimony regarding the election machines and software we currently are using and one that you wish to adopt because this is closely related. For the last 3 years, I've worked countless hours as a volunteer within this county. I've worked as a clerk and a judge during election day voting multiple times. I've done extensive research on how our votes are cast and supposedly audited. I've recently sent lawful notices to each of you via certified mail regarding serious vulnerabilities within the voting system. I had the opportunity to speak to Judge Keogh's Chief of Staff at the Tea Party event on September 2nd. I was attempting to set up a meeting with Judge Keogh regarding my concerns and the election database the county has refused to provide our election integrity team, despite instruction from the Attorney General that requires you to comply. Your Chief of Staff volunteered that the database cannot be released because it can disclose how we each vote as voters. He was very concerned with the secrecy of his own ballot if the database was examined. I expressed that I'm also very concerned with the ballot secrecy being compromised. According to Article 6, Section 2 and 4 of the Texas Constitution, it is my right that my ballot should remain a secret, not just from the public, but more importantly from the government and any third party that you would contract with. I never gave you or Hart Intercivic the authority to track how I vote. In fact, your contract with the people expressly forbids it. When asked further how this could be seen on the database, he alluded to the fact that there is something identifiable on the ballot that can be traced back to its voter. I asked if it was the unreadable QR code. He stated yes and alluded to the possibility that the QR code on the individual sticker printed from the e-poll book that are scanned into the voting system match the QR code printed on the ballot. Do these QR codes allow you or your third-party affiliates to track how I vote? What are you doing with that data? Even if your Chief of Staff is misinformed or misspoke, the issue remains. I cannot read a QR code. Why is that on my ballot? The system is supposed to be capable of reading optical characters. So why can't the hidden information be printed on the ballot in plain view? Why the lack of transparency? Has the QR code been removed from the ballots for this upgraded system?
Yes. Proceed.
I'm short, sorry. Good morning, my name is Lauren Vickers, speaking on agenda item 8N1. I would like to make a public testimony regarding the election machines and software we currently are using and one that you wish to adopt because this is closely related. For the last 3 years, I've worked countless hours as a volunteer within this county. I've worked as a clerk and a judge during election day voting multiple times. I've done extensive research on how our votes are cast and supposedly audited. I've recently sent lawful notices to each of you via certified mail regarding serious vulnerabilities within the voting system. I had the opportunity to speak to Judge Keogh's Chief of Staff at the Tea Party event on September 2nd. I was attempting to set up a meeting with Judge Keogh regarding my concerns and the election database the county has refused to provide our election integrity team, despite instruction from the Attorney General that requires you to comply. Your Chief of Staff volunteered that the database cannot be released because it can disclose how we each vote as voters. He was very concerned with the secrecy of his own ballot if the database was examined. I expressed that I'm also very concerned with the ballot secrecy being compromised. According to Article 6, Section 2 and 4 of the Texas Constitution, it is my right that my ballot should remain a secret, not just from the public, but more importantly from the government and any third party that you would contract with. I never gave you or Hart Intercivic the authority to track how I vote. In fact, your contract with the people expressly forbids it. When asked further how this could be seen on the database, he alluded to the fact that there is something identifiable on the ballot that can be traced back to its voter. I asked if it was the unreadable QR code. He stated yes and alluded to the possibility that the QR code on the individual sticker printed from the e-poll book that are scanned into the voting system match the QR code printed on the ballot. Do these QR codes allow you or your third-party affiliates to track how I vote? What are you doing with that data? Even if your chief of staff is misinformed or misspoke, the issue remains. I cannot read a QR code. Why is that on my ballot? The system is supposed to be capable of reading optical characters. So why can't the hidden information be printed on the ballot in plain view? Why the lack of transparency? Has the QR code been removed from the ballots for this upgraded system? If each of you is concerned about your ballot as a government official being traced, why is my ballot secrecy less important than yours? I implore you to stand up and correct the issues within the current system. Please have courage and honor your oath. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there someone else who'd like to come forward and speak? Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. My name is Steve Lawrence. I'm speaking on behalf of several of us with agenda item 8, November 1. I have handouts. If someone can please hand them out to you. As our county commissioners, it's crucial to carefully evaluate requests related to our electoral process. When considering the adoption of updating voting machines, we must prioritize the security and integrity of our elections above all else. A critical security vulnerability is one which likely leads to a complete compromise of confidentiality, integrity, or availability of the affected resource, like an election management system. Our Montgomery County Election Integrity Team has identified 25 current critical security vulnerabilities, current vulnerabilities, with the operating system of Hart Verity 2.7. We have provided a list for you to review. One of those security vulnerabilities published just a few weeks ago has a public exploit. It allows unauthorized privileged remote access, which means that all bets are off when it comes to securing election database with that system. What is the county's mitigation strategy for the 25 critical security vulnerabilities in the Hart Verity 2.7 operating system? In light of these findings, will you please reject the election administrator's request for approval for modified order to adopt the Hart Intercivic Verity dual voting system version 2.7 until every one of the critical security vulnerabilities has been publicly remediated? There's this problem with the Hart Intercivic machines.
That's the time.
Is historic.
I'm sorry, was that something else? Proceed.
Is historic.
I heard a bell somewhere.
Okay. It's historic. It goes back to 2008. I presented with the committee a little over 2 years ago, before we actually accepted these machines, a report from 5 Penn State fellows, computer science fellows, and one other, 6 members that identified security vulnerabilities going all the way back to 2008. And it's very extensive. It was presented after the Project Everest analysis was done, and it reported on that. And I would like us to perhaps be a little more diligent in doing the research, instead of just saying, as was said last time, that these machines are unhackable, absolutely unhackable. And I think we've been able to show since then that that's not the case. Also, I'd like to consider.
Thank you.
Thank
Time
you.
is up. I appreciate it. Yes. Is there someone else who would like to come forward and speak on this? Yes, if you would, please.
Good morning.
Morning.
My name's Cathie Locetta. I'm speaking about agenda item 8N1, and we, the people of Montgomery County, need your help to secure our elections. My husband and I were here when the current system was voted for, and it did pass, but we're here to talk about the revision that was made recently, or that is proposed. The proposed order included in this agenda item leaves out a very important law. Texas Election Code 122.001 states that a voting system may not be used in an election unless the system preserves the security of the ballot, operates safely, efficiently, and accurately, and complies with the voting system standards adopted by Election Assistance Commission, and it is safe from fraudulent or unauthorized manipulation. Since Hart Verity 2.7 was certified by the Texas Secretary of State's office, the system has gone through seven engineering change orders. None of these changes have gone through the proper certification process to validate that the changes are secure. This is a violation of the Texas Administration Code 81.61 that states that all modifications to the system must go through the examination. 8161 also requires that the voting system be certified to the current national security standards. Although Verity 2.7 was certified by the Election Assistance Commission in June of 2022, it was certified to the 2025 voting system security standards. The EAC updated their security standards in 2015 and again in 2021, but used the old standards to certify this system. This is a violation of Texas law intended to secure our elections. These failures do not just represent a failure to follow the law, they violate our right to a pure election protected from power, tumult, or other improper practices guaranteed in Article 6, Sections 2 and 4 of the Texas Constitution. We, the people of Montgomery County, did not grant you authority to track how we vote, or to violate the laws meant to keep our elections secure, or to dilute our vote through improper practices. It is our will and demand that you vote no to adopting this new voting system. If you vote to adopt this system, you agree that you are doing so with intent and full knowledge that you are violating our rights, which you swore under oath never to do. Again, we, the people of Montgomery County, need your help to secure these elections. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Are there any others? Yes.
Good morning. I'm Kristen Plaisance, one of the people as seen in the Texas Constitution. I'm speaking about agenda item 8N1. I have been a full-time election integrity activist and election auditor, bringing issues about elections to this body for over 3 years. During my research, I received a copy of the Hart Verity Administrator's Guide, which covers all versions of Verity. This guide contains instructions to manually record votes. In the expert report of Tom Watson, found on the Secretary of State's website, he expresses concern about this feature and states that the votes are added directly to the database, and also explains that the manual entries do not show up on any of the reports. Were you aware that the Verity voting systems have a design feature that allows the operator to manually record vote totals with no oversight? I had concerns about this, so I requested a copy of the database to ensure that no manual entries have been made. The county is refusing to release the copy of the database, even though the Attorney General's office has instructed you to do so. In Article 6, Section 2 of the Texas Constitution, the people declare that free suffrage shall be protected from all due influence, from power, bribery, tumult, or other improper practice. In Article 6, Section 4, the people declare that elections are to be conducted by the people. The elections are to be conducted by the people so that we can ensure that the elections represent our will and not the will of the government. These voting systems are not secure. Their accuracy has never been determined through any acceptable accounting standards. They violate the people's right to conduct our own elections by blocking us from fully auditing our elections, and they are a violation of my constitutionally guaranteed right to a protected election. You are also violating my right under Article 1, Section 2 to reform government actions. In a republic, government is always to be amenable to the people. By refusing to address these issues for over 3 years, you are also violating my right to redress of grievances, which is not a right to make comments. It is a right to have my issues fixed when I tell you that you're violating my rights. It is my will and demand that each of you vote no to this order to adopt this new system. If you vote to adopt this system, you are publicly agreeing that you are doing so with intent and full knowledge that you are violating my rights.
It is the time. Thank you. Appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to come forward and make comment? Yes. Please. Welcome.
Good morning. My name is Neta Henery, and I'm speaking in regards to 8N1. I would like to read the vulnerabilities of the remote code, and there are 20 of them. So the Windows line printer is a program that handles the printing of documents. Hackers could possibly use it to read and update voter-related data. Number 2, we have the Windows Reliable Multicast Transport Driver that helps computers share big files or lots of data quickly and efficiently over networks. Hackers could possibly use it to read and update voter-related data. We have Windows TCP, IP remote code is the foundation of how computers talk to each other on the internet. Hackers could possibly use it to read and update voter-related data. We have a Microsoft message queuing, which is used for sending messages between applications. Hackers could possibly use it to read and update voter-related data. We also have the MSMQ used for sending messages between applications, and they could use it to read and update voter-related data. We have the MSMQ sending messages between applications again for the same reason, to read and update voter-related data. We have a PGM, a tool that helps computers talk to each other in groups and could possibly allow hackers to read and update voter-related data. We have a supposedly protective extensive protocol is a way to securely connect to Wi-Fi networks. A vulnerability here could expose wireless connections and could possibly allow hackers to read and update voter-related data. We have RRAS, which are the Windows Routing and Remote Access Service, is like a manager for your home or school network. It helps set up and control how devices connect to the internet or to each other. Hackers could possibly use it to read and update voter-related data. I have 10 more, and they all relate to hackers could possibly. So I'm asking you, why would we even consider to upgrade to a hackers can get into our network and upgrade?
Thank you. The time is
Thank
up.
you.
Appreciate it so much. Appreciate your comments. Is there anyone else who would like to come forward and speak? Yes. Yes, ma'am. Proceed.
My name is Stephanie Shantes, and I'm talking about agenda item 8N1, and just a few more things about the vulnerabilities of this voting machines. And we have a internet control message protocol, and that's a messenger service. It's like a messenger service for the computers. It helps them communicate basic information about their status. This vulnerability lets hackers send in fake messages that look like real IMCP traffic. potentially confusing the computers and letting them do things that they shouldn't do. And then I think that having 25 of these potential vulnerabilities is too many for our voting machines. And I hope that you take a look into it and help correct the problem. And I appreciate this. Thanks.
Thank you for coming forward. We appreciate it so much. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I'm David Berka,
Morning, David.
and I want to speak on the 8N1 agenda item. Most of us are here on your behalf to protect you all, to guide you all in making the choice that will protect the rights of the voter, in this case, the rights of the individual, and their future, which is many generations. What we are expecting from our local government is the guardianship of these rights. The right to vote is one of these constitutional rights. Should not be altered or abridged or trampled or closed off to the voters' control. We do not have that with these machines. Previous to this system being purchased, many of us came and warned you that these machines were not only hackable, but they weren't going to work. When we decide that we can take our trust and put it in machines, we're in trouble. Lena Hidalgo won her 2 elections, but she did not get the votes to win those elections. That's Harris County's problem. It's not ours. Our problem is much easier, but we need to safeguard it in the same respect. What we have is an ability to go to where the future is leading us, which is paper ballots, something that we can audit right away, that is proof of the voters' intents and the tabulation. So what we're looking for is you all to do the job that the Constitution says, the job that the duties of your office prescribes, the respect of your rights, our rights, and a cohesive community going forward, and the ability to prove that just without respect or doubt, to prove that these systems are our systems. The American voter and the American electoral process are totally diverged. They're not the same. What we have is a system that wants people to vote, but there's selections that are being done that we cannot see. I would invite each and every one of you to come down to Election Central and let's look at these machines and let's monitor the frequency that is activated when we turn machines on. These machines were made in China. They have modems in them. The modems are not on the motherboard. The modems are in places that you would never expect to see them, but they're working, they're active. We know exactly where the the signal goes to.
Time is up, David.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your comments. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else who'd like to come forward?
Good morning, Dennis Tibbs from Magnolia. Also
Dennis.
speaking briefly on 8N. I'm just confused about some things that are going on in the county. I've seen the Attorney General's letter that says the county has to release certain information about the voting machines. And I'm wondering if you guys can explain why the county government can ignore the state government. I thought we had rules and the state was superior in that regard. So just take a minute now and explain that, please.
Well,
I know.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Glad to talk to you afterwards. All right. Is there anyone else who would like to come forward? All right. Thank you all very much for your comments. There being none, then let's move forward on our agenda. As we have gone through our citizens, and do we have then the consent agenda? Do we have a motion to approve consent agenda?
I think we should move N1 to open.
Let's move, okay, N1 to open.
I agree with you, Commissioner.
I do too.
Perfect. Is there any other issues?
I move.
There being, you move?
Yeah, I'll move with that modification.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. All right. N8 and 1. Commissioner?
Right. Yeah. I'm not sure if everything that's being said today is accurate or inaccurate, but I can say I believe in the most recent primary that not only did we have voting irregularities occur, but I believe that there may have been intentional manipulation resulting in outcomes that would not match the actual votes cast, and therefore I am absolutely opposed to N1.
Okay. Is there any other discussion?
Well, you know, we spent over $11 million trying to make what this county voting system is work properly for each and every one of us in this room, and this county as a total, myself included. I know that every computer can be hacked, and that's way over my head. All these things y'all have talked about today, I have no knowledge of any of that. But there's, and then the gentleman talking about China, and I agree with all that. But what can we do? What do we got? How many days before election? We can't. How do we not do it? Montgomery County is one of the reddest counties in the nation. We can't not proceed. I mean, I don't understand what the answer is. I heard no answers, but we don't have them either. And honestly, this is the first time I've heard about the Attorney General bringing this to our attention. So this court is a very conservative court. Y'all have to understand that. That's exactly what we do. My wife would be up here screaming like the rest of you because she hates all this type of stuff. But y'all have to understand that this is a big county, and I mean, we've got 50 days or whatever it is we can't correct this. I just don't think it can be corrected. If somebody has an answer.
BD, if you could come forward.
Real quick before you speak, BD, I can just like to say we all watched the 4 a.m. jump 4 years ago. We were leading in the bump, so with that being said, I oppose as well.
Judge and Commissioners, I just want to address the issue about the Attorney General's ruling. We did receive an Attorney General's ruling to release the database to Ms. Plaisance. Before being able to release it, we were sued by Hart Intercivic, and there's been an injunction issued in Travis County, which is the appropriate venue for open records requests. So there's a pending lawsuit in Travis County between Hart Civic and the county and the AG, and I believe trial is set for sometime in January. But it is currently subject to an injunction.
That keeps us from releasing that?
Yes.
Because it's filed in Travis County?
No. When you have an open records dispute, either an appeal from if we had appealed it, we would still have to file it in Montgomery County. But since it dealt with an AG ruling on open records request, the venue by statute is Travis County. So you have to file the suit in Travis County. Hart Intercivic filed in Harris County, served the AG. There's a temporary injunction in place since the end of August that prevents us from releasing the information requested by Ms. Plaisance.
Susie, what happens if we don't vote for this today? What do we do?
Come to the mic if you would, Susie, please.
Well, what we would do is a question that would have to be answered by the Commissioner's Court, and I don't have that answer. We have a federal deadline to send out the military and overseas ballots on Saturday or before Saturday.
This coming Saturday?
Yes. There's no other system. other than manual ballots that we would have to create outside of a system that we have no ability to create.
How many?
Is this, as we look at these items, what are your thoughts on the securities or insecurities or whatever?
I'm not familiar with any of those allegations, so, in detail, I've heard that there was an issue in those letters, but I don't have personal knowledge of any of those vulnerabilities.
Okay.
Daniel, can you answer any of these?
Morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Judge. I've not read through any of this. It's not something our department typically deals with, but from listening to the comments, a lot of that was based on an insecure network.
Would be what now? I'm sorry.
Sorry. A lot of these comments and the concerns for the vulnerabilities, from what I was hearing, once again, I haven't read it. I'm not an expert on voting machines, but a lot of that counts on an insecure network and saying voting is going across open internet. This is not going over open internet. It is behind a secured network, which obviously we take large measures to make sure that stays that way. And it's also encrypted information moving across. So some of those would definitely be, a little negated by that, but I am not an expert in elections machines. I can't tell you 100% if any of this is true or, if we have to worry about it.
We were all told when we went with this system that they're not even hooked up to the internet. Is that correct?
As far as I'm aware, yes, that is correct. They go through our network, and it is secured and separated from the rest of the traffic on our network.
She's shaking her head.
The
No.
voting machines,
Not the voting machines.
The voting machines do not go.
Please speak into the microphone, if you would, please, Susan.
The voting machines do not go through the county network. That was the previous electronic poll book. The new e-poll book doesn't even go through the county network. And that's just for communicating voter check-in information, checking eligibility of voters. The actual voting machines only plug into electrical outlets. They don't connect to any network.
How's the information kept? How is it tabulated between the time a vote is cast and each night when the poll workers leave that facility? All the votes go into what?
The votes are saved. The record of each vote is saved into a memory device that's contained in those scanning devices that the ballots are scanned into, and they're secured every night.
How are they secured?
They're secured with locks and numbered seals.
Do any of them ever leave and go home with
Oh, no.
an election judge?
No.
An election judge never has a reason to take that with them?
Absolutely not. No.
So you put a seal on it with a lock too, right?
Right.
A numbered seal.
Correct. They have. They're locked, and they have a numbered seal, and those seals are checked every morning for matching the numbers that were recorded the previous night. Yes.
And who has a key to those boxes?
The judge has the key to the locks, and that's why the seals exist, so they're tamper evident.
So the judge, just one person has a key, and one person's responsible for making sure that seal isn't broken, which would be the judge.
Well, they do it, and the judge doesn't check those seal numbers by themselves. They would have an alternate judge or a clerk
So
checking
it'll be somebody
with
there
them.
watching.
Correct.
So they lock it up at night. The next morning they get there. The judge and somebody goes with them, unlock the lock, and break the seal.
Right. And then the report prints when it's powered on, and they compare the numbers to make sure that the numbers have not changed, the counts.
Okay.
The total ballot counts.
You shut down that night. If this many people have voted, you make sure that's the same numbers there.
That's right.
When you open up at 7 o'clock or whenever.
That's right. And we reconcile that every evening with our office, with every site, every machine.
What about some of these folks saying that you can actually see who voted and how they voted?
No, the voter privacy issue with that database is with respect to the way that the votes are recorded. Based on the way that precincts are split, it's a little bit difficult to describe, but every person in a precinct doesn't necessarily receive the exact same ballot because of their eligibility in each jurisdiction that might be part of that election. So in some areas that have low turnout on certain ballot styles, say if you have one or two voters and they've both voted the same way, and then those are compared with other records that have already been released by law showing who voted in those precincts, then those pieces of information could be put together to see how a person voted. It's not a direct record of an individual voter and their vote selections that's in that database. It's pieces of information that would be put together.
Is there any requirement that we move to this modified order here to adopt the new voting system? Are we required to do that, or can we operate in terms of the old system?
It's not a requirement. Some of the benefits of the new system are layout of the ballot and the avoiding having to go to either like a legal size sheet of ballot paper or 2 sheets of letter size ballot paper for voters to have to use when they vote, depending on the length of the ballot.
To check the accuracy of voting of the votes that are cast, do you ever compare that to the actual paper ballots? Do you do a count
that's a requirement.
of the paper ballots every
we
time,
do a
right?
manual count after every election,
So
right?
That should address some concerns.
After every election or after every day?
No, during the early voting period, we don't know results any more than anyone until correct. The manual count is after the election is completed.
Given the amount of money that we have previously spent and the time that we spent researching and going through the whole process, and now we come up where we have a new system, a new voting system, where there's identified these vulnerabilities. I got to tell you, I would be in favor of going with the old program as opposed to moving to the new one.
Are those claims unique to this new upgrade?
I can't tell you. I don't know. I can go by what I hear here, and these are our citizens talking to us. And I think at least at this point, and I know we're out of time, and so since we are out of time and there's this much question, to leave it where it is right now and then to move forward and check this stuff out, and because we don't have time to do it right now to just shut this whole deal down, because I'd like to know about this, but how are we going to get this done? How do we move to, if we were ever going to go to paper ballots, paper?
Manual.
How manual? How would we go about doing that within the time frame, especially for our military types, people who are overseas? We just don't have a time to do it. But we have used the previous program that we believe at the time, and I still believe was fairly accurate. I don't know about the vulnerabilities like that's being explained here, but I can tell you that there is this underlying current that I think these need to be resolved before we move forward on the new system. I would have to.
Is there a claim that any of these didn't exist prior to version 2.7? It would probably take us about 3 weeks to prepare to use 2.5.
Is that what we used the last election?
Yes.
So you've been preparing to use this. Why did you wait until now to ask for it to be approved then? If this is something that you wanted to use, knowing that there are all these questions out there, why would you just now bring it forward? Because you seem to have put us in a really bad situation.
That wasn't my intention, obviously, but
intentional or not, we're here.
The complaints about the voting system have existed long before version 2.7.
So you can't go back to the old system very easily.
So does the old system have some of these same claims?
The claims that were presented were originally about 2.5.
That's what
Yes.
I'm asking.
So going back to 2.5 is really not gonna. It's still there's a chance that things could be hacked. Or
It's
changed,
my understanding that the complaint is generally about using voting systems for marking ballots, counting ballots.
So what you're saying is if we stay with the old system now, the old program, that there are deadlines that are going to be missed for people getting.
Oh, we won't miss the deadlines. We'll just have to do it manually.
Do what manually? How much of it manually?
We would have to issue the military and overseas ballots manually and then duplicate those that were returned to comply with the whatever system that we use if it wasn't 2.7.
Okay, the question is, can you use 2.5? Can you use what we used in, May?
Previously.
Is that May?
We can, not today.
Well, we don't have to worry about voting today.
Right.
However, as we move forward, though, this has come up before. It comes up again. Here we are again talking about additional issues. In my judgment, if there's any way we can stay with 2.5, I would have to go with not passing this today.
Judge, I would ask
Go ahead.
for evidence that these are additional issues with 2.7. I don't believe that they are.
What's the gap between the versions, Susie?
There was a 2.6 that.
Is there a security upgrade? I mean, what's the difference?
I'm not familiar. I don't want to misspeak on that topic. I believe it had to do with connections between the different components of the system.
And so from what I've heard from you, the biggest inconvenience that your office would have would be getting the mail-in to the overseas ballots. Did I understand that correctly?
No, the biggest inconvenience would be reverting to the prior system, reprogramming the machines, retesting.
But we hadn't converted because we haven't even approved this. So
well, the approval is for the use in the election. There's been quite a bit of work done on that conversion already.
Prior to approval?
Prior to approval of its use, yes.
Gotcha. So two of the other big items that we heard were the QR codes. Is the QR code something that can be removed from?
No, and it doesn't include any voter information. I could gather the information that is in the QR code and present it to the court at another meeting.
Are there any other counties using the same system you're thinking about using?
Yes.
Judge, any adjacent counties?
Has Harris County upgraded to this deal?
I'm sorry, Judge?
Has Harris County upgraded to this system?
I don't know.
Let's see if that.
Susie, during.
Yes.
What did you say?
I was looking for some information, and it was mentioned that during the last election, when we were setting up for voting on the actual primary day, I guess there had been a convention or training or something on the Monday before the election. You familiar with what I'm talking about?
No, we just issue equipment the day before.
And that the judges, at least from what I understand, the South County election judge had taken that box home Monday night and brought it Tuesday to the election place.
That is standard operating procedure for every.
No, a few minutes ago that they don't take boxes home
after they've been used.
So sometimes
they don't.
Do, sometimes they don't.
No, after they've been used, they don't. Prior,
you don't know what's happening to this box when it's sitting in an election judge's home. You have no idea.
When they arrive,
you should never go home with them.
Why do they
That's
go?
done
why do they go home?
In every precinct in every county that uses a voting system.
What is in the election box that they can sabotage? I mean, is there anything in there that they can sabotage?
That's where the votes are recorded.
Not to my knowledge.
But once the votes are put in that, you don't take those home, correct?
Correct.
How do you know they don't put votes in them at home?
They run reports.
Morning?
They confirm this. We put seals on the machines. We lock them before they go out. Those numbers are confirmed by the judge and another poll worker, an alternate judge, whatever the case
How hard is it for you to create? You said something about creating paper ballots, doing that for this election.
Well, we currently don't have a system for that. Probably not outside. I assume version 2.7 can do that. Issue a paper ballot, that would be now the ones that go, out in the mail are hand marked, but they're not hand counted.
Probably isn't a good idea for the same election judge to have the key that takes the box home. Maybe,
What is
that person doesn't have a key to get in the box might be a good idea.
Has the County Elections Commission reviewed this? What is their position?
No, it's not the role of the Election Commission
Can you describe the commission's role?
to appoint or terminate an elections administrator.
There was a rumor about the AG's office potentially having an investigation regarding Montgomery County elections. Do you have any information regarding that?
Have not heard anything about that.
Okay, we've had a lot of discussion. I'm going to make a motion. And the motion is that we stay with the current system that we have, that in that we do the evaluation of this for next round. It's too late to go into anything else right now as far as paper ballots and whatnot, but we can manually send the stuff. So I would move that I would vote against this and that we would not be in favor of moving forward on it. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
So this means we're opposing this?
Yes.
Yes.
Everybody opposes it. So, Susie, I know that's going to be a little bit of a heartburn for you in terms of getting stuff out. We appreciate all that you do for us. We appreciate the citizens who have come in and shared this with us, and it's worthy of continued discussion and study. Thank you. Appreciate it so much.